town after an SMS phishing scam affected at least 470 OCBC customers. They lost a total of at least $8.5 million, but weeks later, OCBC gave all the victims full payouts covering the money they lost.
Well, scammers have been impersonating Singapore Police Force SPF officers and also have been hijacking our friends' social media accounts. I'm pretty sure you got lots of complaints from them on social media. These scammers were trying to get to us to scam us too. And there are police reports of job scams jumping more than 16 times in the first half of the year. So let's get more advice from Julia Chin. She's the head of compliance at Hugo. It's a fintech app and digital account service, and they help their customers spend, save, and invest. And now they're going to advise us. Julia, you advise us to use sophisticated and unique passwords and not obvious ones like password or 123456, right? So where do we safely store all our unique passwords? Because, they're all impossible to remember. Do you want us to write it down and hide it somewhere in our sock drawer or something?
Hey, Melanie, that's a good question. I would say that you're right. In the new world of technology, many of us have too many passwords to remember, right? Which is also one of the reasons that we encourage people to make use of the 2FA or two-factor authentication, or multiple 3, 4, 5, 6 if you have them. If we forget and there's a need for us to change our passwords, we at least have the 2FA as an additional line of defense. And for those that are more tech savvy, I think we can consider using some password managers. There are many in the market that we can consider. So that means that we only need to remember one. So as far as, I love that thought of writing out the password and putting it in a sock drawer. That works too. I think that really works too for as long as the sock drawer is not somewhere where it is easily accessible by hackers, right?
Sock drawer.
And make sure that your house doesn't get burglarized.
Yeah, exactly. Or your socks have got too many holes, like mine normally do. Julia, we also shouldn't share too much personal information on social media because hackers sometimes they look out for things like this, don't they? To sort of get clues to find out what exactly our passwords could possibly be. Like sometimes they may see you interacting with your dog a whole lot and they say, oh, maybe you call your dog by a certain name, and they say, okay, I'm going to try something like that. Is that also something we need to avoid?
Yes, absolutely. For as much as possible, we don't want to share too much personal information on social media. And say, for example, I think I am one person who's pretty guilty of that because I love my cat. His name is Sushi. Just for the record, I'll make sure that my passwords do not contain Sushi's name in there, nor his birth date. And whatever that you could possibly use to remember your password. So if you're going to talk about what you ate for lunch and you often use, base your lunch to form your passwords, don't do that. So it's generally to make sure that you do not have all this information that could easily be used to guess your passwords.
Okay. Well, Julia, the banks here have already started sending us SMSs saying they'll stop sending us clickable links. I've been getting quite a lot. But we're also getting SMSs from telcos asking us to complete post-service surveys and from public agencies giving us links to check our accounts, which is fine. But, but we don't know. We're getting paranoid now. What do we do?
I would say if in doubt, call back the agencies that you feel that have sent you those links to check, right? And I would say the first thing, most of all, is that I'm not really a tech person, but here's what I can tell you, is the key is that no one will ask you for private information, passwords, or OTPs online. So that is something that I believe it would be helpful to remind the public, our community, that no one is going to ask you for the password and OTP. So this is what is going to be what will take over your account or your identity and siphon the money out from your accounts. On the topic of what we can do from a technical perspective, I think we could easily have another call with our super tech team to share their war stories on what we do at the back end to try and prevent all these things from happening.
Julia, job scams are also on the rise here in Singapore. Nearly every day I get a text message saying, do you want to earn extra money? And this morning alone, we got a YouTube job application promising lots of perks and money too. So job scams were the fourth most commonly reported scam in the first half of 2021. Most people should ignore it, but some people, they may look at it and say, you know what, maybe I'm going to give it a go. And that could be a huge mistake, falling for something like this.
Absolutely. You know what, Lance, you actually hit a nail on the head for me. It's something very close to my heart as well. And this is an area which also borderlines on money mail recruiting, which is another topic that will warrant a long chat. But safe to say, you know, for people that, I mean, I got that too. I actually have received such invitations. If it is too good to be true, chances are it is. So, you know, for those of us that receive such invitations, you know, do talk to our friends, do not keep quiet. And you feel that something is not right. Say, for example, if we did click on the links and we probably got onboarded somewhat, you know, speak up and share these concerns with friends who might be able to help you.
Yeah, you're right, because I also got that SMS one apparently from MediaCorp asking me to join them, and I was thinking, is that a sign? Should I talk to my boss? Am I still with the company?
Do you know what job they were trying to offer you?
They said, oh, join us at MediaCorp and give me lots of money and you know, so I said, okay.
Yeah, you know, speaking of that, right, Melanie, just now you mentioned about the call from the police and all that. Oh my goodness, I can tell you a whole string of all these, the whole list of all the calls that we receive. I received a call from the Ministry of Manpower as well, telling me that my work permit, there's an issue with my work permit. So, yeah, it's you know, one thing I'd like to say is that whatever that we want to do is something very close to my heart. It's actually, it may not be us. We can laugh about, you know, all the failed attempts to scam us. We potentially, you know, the DBS and OCBC links, I received them as well, and they did look very, they did look legit.
Yeah. I got the OCBC SMS too, you know, and I'm connected to them. Yeah.
Yeah. And to me is that, yeah, for all of us, right, for all they need is just they could be sending out this to 100,000 people. All they need is just 1% of the people who respond. That could be our grandparents, our aged parents, our young siblings, or our cousins, our friends. They could make up that 1%, which is 1,000 people out of the 1,000 people out of the 100,000 that might fall victims. So, yeah, it is, to me, it can be anybody. It could be somebody close to us.
You're right. You know, it hits very close to home. Many of our friends and loved ones did get scammed, and we have to be there also to help them pick up the pieces sometimes, right? So it's really something, a very, very serious matter. And we want to thank you, Julia, for calling our attention to all the seriousness. Julia Chin is the head of compliance at Hugo, a financial planning app, and she's also the owner of Sushi the Cat.